YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre tutorials and reviews, back in here with one more video. Guys, you already know what time it is. It is time to get active. Shout out to my Instagram, at Mediocre tutorials and reviews, Sloan, but you know how to spell. If you don't, link down in the description box down below. Come follow your boy. I've been posting up there. I call out my Instagram because this was sent to me via my Instagram. Title of the video, Gender Roles, Ladies Roundtable, a Black Love series. All right. This comes from content creator Black Love. I'll leave a link down to the video down in the description box down below. I don't know how much of this video I'm going to be able to go over. But I think that the topic of gender roles in a group full of ladies, i.e. the echo chamber, might get really interesting. All right. Without further ado.
Having a son, I think of how I want him to be as a man. And I mean, I want to allow him freedom to develop into who he is, but there are certain things that I feel like are important. He needs to be, a gentleman and be, there's a confident, but, still sensitive to what a woman needs. And then, but still, care about what he needs too. Yeah. And then I just feel like as a mom, it is my job to ensure that he grows up to be somebody that,
doesn't to the women in his life. Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah. And I don't know if you feel that way about Judah, but I think it's important.
I do. And I think it's hard to be the mother of girls as a woman. And I also think that it's challenging to raise feminist boys.
Right.
That is, I think, specifically our job as women, to boys, to raise feminist sons.
Yes.
And it's been
I think it's our jobs as a woman to raise feminist boys. Wow. I don't think I've ever heard someone say that out loud ever. So what you're seeing right now is pure and utter shock. I had to pause the video on that one. What she said in the beginning was, it's hard to raise girls as a woman, which I felt was interesting that she said it like that. But then she says, challenging to raise feminist boys. Before we get into the feminist boys thing, notice that when she called out the girls, she didn't say to raise a girl to respect and honor a man. Right? She didn't say that. She didn't say it's a challenge to raise a girl, right, to have good interpersonal relationships with men. She just said that it was hard. But notice that when she said the boy raising her son, what's the first thing that she went to? Which, guys, I talk about this thing on the channel all the time. What's the first thing that she went to? It's how he treats other women. That's the first thing, okay? This is how it starts. You're seeing it right here. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm going to go off in a second because I want to hear how she describes feminist boys, because maybe it's not in accords to the way that I have it in my mind. But notice it came out of her own mouth. When she talked about the young girl, it's difficult to raise young girls. She's not talking about how the young girl has relationships with men, but notice when she brings up the young boy, that's the first thing in her mind. And this is what can happen. And it's because, irrespective, I don't know if she's married or not. I don't see her finger, so I don't know if she's married or not. But irrespective, you have to understand that is a major difference in her mindset as that young boy is growing up. That is a major difference. And it's going to play a large part into his reality. Oftentimes I see young boys like this that grow up like that under the tutelage of a mother. Hopefully she has a husband or a male figure there to help counteract or correct that imbalance of the statement raising a male feminists, which is a completely preposterous term. Yes, raise men to have empathy, raise men to have confidence, raise men to all of these other things that she could have called it out. But notice how it was raise men in a relationship to being a feminist, which is mind-boggling to me. But let's go on.
Been a complete awakening, I'd say, for, you know, myself, my husband, my family.
Okay,
it's
husband.
just, you know, the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, he can be soft, he can be strong,
Right.
He can be gentle, and he can also be, you know, very masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And when we give boys room to show their full range of emotion, that gives them the ability to be open to the full range of emotion that women show. Because, you know, women are a lot more open with their emotion
We're
9
allowed
times
to
out
be.
of 10.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And let me pause it right here, because she seems like an absolute sweetheart. All right. She seems like an absolute sweetheart, and she generally wants what is best for her son. But when I see the way that she articulates that and this emotion things, it's clear to me that she has no idea how to raise a young boy to be a man at all. And listen, let me also say this as well. I come from a single parent household. My father taught me how to be a man. All right. Now, because I was in a single parent home, then yeah, I will admit, I'll be the first one to say I probably lack some emotional capability that some of my other friends particularly have. And I'm much more clear, purpose driven to a goal, and will leave a wake of destruction behind me. But I try to do it in a professional way. You understand me? So within that being said, I know, as being raised from a single father, there's some things that I may lack to really have true and utter balance. But if she was a single mother with the exact same things that she's espouting right now, I would be very, very concerned for that young boy. Because what does she say? To be as emotional as, right? Like, because women do it. So she's thinking about it from her perspective. And then from her perspective, she's an emotional creature, right? So how about I raise a boy that can understand my emotions the way that previous relationships in my life were unable to understand? This idea of making men and women equal when the chemicals in our brain are firing at an incredibly different rate, right? When we have different biological factors, evolutionary factors, the different chemicals that I mentioned before, we have all of these different things that are firing, but you're still trying to make us equal, is a problem. It is a problem. There is no woman who is going to respect an emotional man. I think men have to, although both men and women, we experience emotions, men have to control their emotions. We have to control our emotions. All right? We have to. It's a necessity. Men who do not control their emotions, I guarantee most of the negative things that you see within the black community from a male's perspective is men who are unable to control their emotions. And that is a fact. All right, let's keep on moving.
Really?
Do you feel like you have the support from your partners in that, in raising a feminist son?
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
And it does take a little educating other people. I mean, you know, I can't expect other people to treat my son a certain way, you know, if they're the way that they are. But, you know, I do kind of like with our parents, you know, it's okay that he wants to paint his nails. It's cool. He's a boy, you know, like I don't think making him feel like he's doing something wrong by expressing himself or, you know, doing anything that would be perceived as feminine is okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that, and it also shows them that they can express themselves, period. They don't have to express themselves in this way.
Right.
Like, I see so many little boys, my son's friends, who will maybe have their nails painted or have a flower in their hair or have a pink shirt. And I'm mentioning like intrinsically feminine things that they're into, just to show like boys can have a feminine side and they can also have a masculine side. It's so important for them to be in touch with both. Exactly.
Yes.
And so I was going to say, even
Let me comment on that as well. So the painting of the nails, all of this and that and the third. Listen, I think like when we take it from a societal perspective, there's certain things in our society, within our culture, which has been deemed feminine. There's certain things in our society that has been deemed masculine. When I talk about masculinity and femininity, I'm talking about the characteristics or traits that you have within yourself to drive forward, right? Like, I think men should not be as submissive, right? I think in a relationship, it requires cooperation, but I think masculine men are more assertive. They are more apt to set boundaries, right? They're more clear in the way that they articulate in their diction. They don't run around in an open dialogue of conversation from point to point to point. They're more stoic in nature. These are the things that I define with masculinity. When I think through femininity, I'm thinking through much more nurturing capabilities. I think towards more submission or surrendering or allowing someone to take the lead and being supportive. And all of the other cultural things that you want to throw in there, I think is up for interpretation. Fact of the matter is, if I had a son that would wanted to paint his nails, I'd have a really firm conversation with him as to the reason that he wants to do that and what is it stemming from, and to let him know the implications of how it's going to be viewed. I'll have the conversation, but at the end of the day, it is my decision. Okay? It is my decision because I am that child's parent, but I want him to understand that for every action that you take, there will be a consequence to that action.
Even in dating, right? Like allowing the space for your partner or person to have a wide range of emotions or like really express themselves, especially nowadays. I don't know. It just seems difficult. I don't know if you dealt with that in dating. Or
I think some people just need to.
It's just, and this is what I often see, which is I can see being a problem in a single parent household in raising a son. It's because you look at, based off of my interactions with men, what was missing. And being emotional creatures, what may have been missing is that level of emotion from them. But not even understanding that we're different than you. We don't think the same way. So then you say to yourself, okay, well, I have my son right here. How do I train him to be a soft, gentle, and emotional young man? And you overprotect him and then you wonder why it translates later in his life to not having healthy relationships with women, okay? That either walk all over him, call him a mama's boy, because you did not understand what it took for him to be a masculine man.
Express themselves in all ways, in shape or form, sexuality. We have this stereotype as if, young women can explore their sexuality, but young men can't. Exactly. And then that's perpetuated in relationships where it's like, well, can I be with this guy because, he was potentially, or he might have been with some guy or in an intimate way. So it's like, you can't hold people to those standards. As a feminist, and you're trying to raise a feminist son, you have to allow them to be open to who they are. So it's like, you can't treat your girls and not treat your men the same way. And
just real quick, like this is what we're seeing right here is decades of propaganda. That's exactly what we're seeing right here. Decades of propaganda, and it worked. For these ladies at the table that are shaking their head every time the word male feminist comes up, raising your son to be a feminist, and they're going like this, let me show you how the propaganda, and even for you guys, maybe there's some people that's down in there, it's like, well, I don't see the issue with that. Imagine if it was flipped. Even when the young lady in the beginning was talking about the challenge of raising a daughter, she's not saying, oh, the challenge of raising a daughter that is a maleist. Right? That is a manist, right? She's not saying that. And just think about how awkward that sounds, right? Or if I got up on here on a platform and I started to talk about raising my daughter to be a maleist, it sounds ridiculous. And I think that we all have our issues, and we should understand the issues of both genders, right? And come to the table with a degree of empathy to see how we can solution for those issues. I'm with you there.
And I think nowadays, especially, you see more men that are more open with their sexuality. And our generation, young rappers our age, where they're wearing skirts and, they're considering themselves asexual. And I mean, that has nothing to do whether they consider themselves, man or woman. It's simply just who they are.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have so much freedom to express that. And you see these old head, rappers coming at them like, oh man, these suckers, this, that, and the third, where it's like, this is just who they are.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to adapt to that, that's on you.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, our generation, I think young millennials are just out there. And I think we're able to put wear our hearts on our sleeves and put our emotions out on the table without regret.
Right.
And I think sometimes that can be challenging or, too out there for older generations.
Yeah.
They might not be ready for that.
They're not used to that. But I think that it is a blessing. Like, millennials are coming, like, this is
coming true.
Because it's true, like, the older generations are not as open as this new generation. Like, our children specifically are just gonna be so tolerant. And I think that's one thing that we're missing as a society. Like, let's just get some acceptance going. Like, let's get a round table of acceptance. You don't look like me, cool, let's still play together.
Yes.
Like, why not?
Yeah, when I made that switch and I turned off that thought of men being villainous and everything, it changed my perspective on men in general. So whereas I was dating these macho, I'm a man guys, I was so turned off by that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was so turned off by that now. So like now I'm like into guys who have septum piercings and who are models, and just you can't place them.
Okay.
And that is perfectly fine with me, but I know what they like. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But to society, it's like, oh well, that has nothing to do with anything. I think it's so beautiful that a person could just be themselves, and that's what's attractive. That's what's beautiful. That's what's life-changing. Yeah. And I think that once people open themselves up to that, you'll be free. It's like, it's so freeing. I love it.
Yeah, they don't have to spend their whole life healing from their childhood. They're just come as you are the whole time.
That part.
Hello.
Let me end the conversation right there. Let me bring this back up. Fantastic conversation. I got really passionate in some portions in that. But I think a shout out to the ladies. I think that it's dope to see a eloquent conversation done like this. And I think it's really impactful and it's really powerful. Okay. Let me also comment on the last young lady's point. What she was saying is that she dated macho men, and then now she finds herself becoming more attractive to what it sounded like she was saying, more like metrosexual. Listen, here's the thing. I think irrespective of if you are dating or become attracted to macho men or then men that are a little bit more on the metro side of the scale, right? And she talked about being yourself, and I believe it, right? Like, I think as the years go into the future, a lot more people are going to be a lot more tolerant and innovative in the lifestyles that they choose. But in general, en masse, whether or not this is a super macho papo dude or if it's a metro kind of, dude with septum piercings and kind of all those things like that, irrespective, women find certain traits very attractive. And the biology, okay, of the things that they are attracted to en masse has not changed and will not change. Okay? It will not change. There is media that will push to you what a man should be to nurture you into something else. But in a day-by-day situation, what you'll find is becoming less and less attractive to men that operate like women. And that is a fact. Because in general, en masse, feminine women do not find feminine men attractive. And that just is what it is. And biology will not change. Chemistry will not change. Irrespective of the nurturing that we receive from echo chambers from media that tell you, oh no, yeah, go, because he's so into your feelings and emotions. What I've observed from my field studies is at the point in the time that the man exhibits feminine energy. Now, it don't mean he can't have empathy. It don't mean he can't have understanding or cannot care for. But at the point that he gets into his feminine, loses his frame, is the exact point that she loses respect. Okay? Listen, that has been my video. That has been my reaction. Fantastic content. I got to go back and see what are the content that they have. You guys already know I love these cerebral, critical thinking type of discussions, all with the value of pushing the culture forward. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com if you want to hit me up. I got a Patreon as well. Feel free to go into the Patreon. We over 500 strong, building and growing every day. Last but not least, I got an Instagram. Follow me on my Instagram. Send me more fantastic content that you guys find and scour out through the depths of the internet. Would wholeheartedly appreciate it. All right. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.